Joe Garber, KBIA News. This is Joe Garber. I'm with Tornado Tim. He was in Kirksville yesterday when this awful tornado struck. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me on.
This is Joe Garber. I'm joined by 23rd District Representative Stephen Weber. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Joe. Appreciate it.
The Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services is looking for ways to set better nutrition guidelines for daycare centers. KBIA's Joe Garber sat down with a local preschool director and has this report on the Eat Smart program.
After lunch, about 24 kids scatter across the playground at Rock Bridge Preschool. Every day they get a balanced meal, fruits, vegetables, and even nutritious breakfasts. Director Christine McCullum says the preschool follows strict state laws to keep the children healthy. McCullum says she hasn't heard about the guidelines established in the Eat Smart program.
Even though we follow the licensing rules, there are child care centers that don't serve, nutritious foods. They don't follow guidelines that help them practice eating habits that are safe or that are healthy.
McCollum has seen how children are fed at some centers, even with the rules in place.
They might offer a lot more sugar foods. They might offer poor practices at the eating times, because we want it to be relaxed and healthy time for them.
The Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services is working to improve the quality of food kids are served. It established the Eat Smart program, which is a voluntary effort to encourage child care centers to serve healthier options. This past month, the department took ideas from the public for ideas to make the program better. Ann McCormick heads the Health Department's Bureau of Community Food and Nutrition Assistance.
We'd like to get input from others, to help us come up with the best guidelines possible.
According to the Department of Health and Senior Services, thousands of children get between 50 to 75% of the food they eat at child care facilities. McCormick says she thinks the Eat Smart guidelines could become mandatory. McCormick says the federal government is working to make more mandatory rules.
So this hopefully also will serve the purpose of giving child care centers a step up and eventually maybe having to meet some of those requirements later down the road.
McCollum also would like to see stricter rules.
Yeah, because it looks like there's some good things on there that could be beneficial for the kids. I don't see anything that would be objective.
You can see examples of the current nutrition guidelines at the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services website. McCormick will meet with DHSS staff in the coming weeks to look over new suggested guidelines. Joe Garber, KBIA News.
A man famous for going into dangerous storms traveled to Adair County yesterday and was there when the tornadoes hit. He spoke to KBIA's Joe Garber this morning about his experience. Here's their conversation.
So if you could, in the most detailed way, describe for us what it was like yesterday in Kirksville. Take us through it.
I drove into the city, and I figured it was going northeast. That was its projected path, so I headed out towards the edge of town, on the north side of town. And as I came up on the car dealership, I noticed all the car dealer vehicles fleeing the parking lot. There must have been 7, 8 cars just screaming out of the dealership, and I saw the tornado heading straight for the dealership. As the tornado comes on the dealership, it's wiping out all the power lines down the road leading up to the dealership. I mean, it's just annihilating them. The tornado winds were already quite violent coming into the dealership. I saw cars driving right in the path of the tornado several times. People didn't realize that the winds they were in were tornado winds. They saw the funnel and thought they weren't in the tornado, but they were already in the tornado. As it came in on the dealership, I realized I was in deep trouble because the wind field was growing rapidly. I saw a lot of large debris in the air. I looked over, and the tornado was bearing down on me with huge chunks of debris. I mean, roofs and everything floating around, flying in the air, heading straight for me. Got closer and closer. I realized I was going to take a direct hit from the debris, which is what kills most people, is the debris. As the debris field came in on me, it started raining debris onto the car, just clanging and smashing. I can hear my bulletproof glass is taking some direct hits from very large debris, but holding. And then I took some side hits a few times. One smashed in the right side by my trunk on the car, but it didn't do any major damage to the car as far as drivability. And I prepared to die.
Wow. And I understand this is the worst. You're a seasoned guy, and this is the worst experience you've said you've been in.
This tornado, the wind fields were so far beyond the funnel itself, I knew it was a violent tornado, and the debris that was flying over my head was larger than my car. I knew I was in serious trouble. I really seriously don't know why I'm alive today. I shouldn't be.
So after you have this experience and you say, you know, I'm lucky to be alive, what did you do last night? Did you pray before you went to bed? How did you feel about it?
I'm sitting in my car thinking, God, are you going to save my life this time, or is this the last stupid mistake I make where you're sick of rescuing me? I don't know why God spared my life. I have no idea, but I thanked God as I drove out of that subdivision that I was alive, because I cheated death. I mean, I heard some say that it was a very high-end tornado. I saw EF2 damage around me, but I wouldn't be surprised it was much stronger than that. I couldn't settle down. I had to call friends, called my wife. I had to talk and talk and talk. I knew I was somewhat in shock. Finally, at one point, I started to cry a little bit just because I realized I'm supposed to be dead and I'm alive, and I don't know why I'm alive.
You say that people didn't know what to do. Do you think there needs to be better education for people with these things? People
were nonchalantly looking at this tornado as though they could play games with it. And I mean, I'm a professional, and I almost got killed. If you're not a professional and you're just kind of, let's stop and take a couple of snapshots with our cell phone as it's coming in, just people need to respect tornadoes more, have tremendous respect that just because chasers get video of it doesn't make it smart, wise, or something you should do.
That was KBIA's Joe Garber speaking to the storm chaser known as Tornado Tim. Stay with us. We have news headlines coming up in just a moment, including...
Hello there, and welcome to the Business Beat. I'm Maureen McCullum. Few Chrysler dealerships in central Missouri are taking a hit from the Big Three automaker. Chrysler announced earlier this month that it would cut 1/4 of its 3,200 dealerships. KBIA's Joe Garber reports on how local dealers reacted to the news.
Chrysler's announcement to cut 1/4 of its dealers impacted dealerships in central Missouri. The announcement came 2 weeks after the struggling company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. Dodge City Motors in Columbia, Missouri won't close its doors, but will have to stop selling Chrysler vehicles. The company also owns a Hyundai dealership. Dealer Larry Estes thinks Chrysler made a wrong move because he says his business makes good profits.
They sent us out letters in the last 2 weeks that they were only going to cut dealers who were financially unsound, who didn't have the facility, who weren't profitable, and who didn't have a good service rapport with their customers.
Estes blames the automaker for picking and choosing based on the dealers easiest to work with.
It doesn't make any sense what they're doing. I think it was total politics from the old Chrysler, because on dealers who would stand up to them, I was on the dealer council with them, and I would stand up to them and I would tell them that I didn't think things were right.
In his view, Chrysler is making a mistake.
I am their customer. I'm buying from them continually. So, the old adage, well, if we cut dealers, it's going to save us money, is a lot of BS.
Estes doesn't know if he will need to lay off employees. Down in Camdenton, Ron Hewitt Automotive will also no longer be selling Chrysler Jeeps. Like Estes, Hewitt criticizes Chrysler for how they picked which dealerships would close.
We had a feeling it might be coming our way. We're a Chevrolet, Buick, and Jeep dealer, and having the Jeep store combined with the GM store has never been a very popular choice with Chrysler.
Hewitt says his business will do just fine without selling Jeeps.
We've sold a lot of Jeeps over the years. It is by far the smallest of our three franchises as far as, sales, but still hate to see it go. No jobs were lost over it. We're going to continue going forward.
GM also announced they would be closing more than 1,000 dealerships. Joe Garber, KBIA News.
Phenomena and events. How many people saw solar